Hey everyone. Are you still with us? Are you alive? Can you show me your hands? Can you show me your faces?
Faces?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
there are many faces coming up. Great. So I'm going to talk about social innovations for social entrepreneurship. And it's a very inspiring topic, but it's also full of, many different things. So there are many descriptions of social innovations, but tell it in a simple form is that you try to use non-traditional solutions to traditional problems and traditional things. You try to borrow, steal from other sectors and apply it in your area. And you also make big use of what's available here of technologies, different behavior of people, different consumption habits. Every day the world is changing, and every day we have new opportunities. And what was true yesterday is not true today, or maybe not will not be true tomorrow. So we have to be constantly thinking how to improve ourselves, how to improve our organization, how to improve our social enterprise. I think you have heard some of the words I put on this slide, but these are, examples of social innovations that are cutting across everyday life of us, everyday business, like sharing economy, crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, Skillshare, upcycling, and each of this brings a set of tools that can be applied specifically to your business, to your organization, to your social enterprise. There is also one important word that I want you to remember today from this presentation is scale, a possibility to scale. Scaling means growth, but it's not simple growth. It's growth when your expenses do not grow at the same time as your income, your revenues. I mean, if you want to make 10 times more money, it does not mean that you have to employ 10 times more people. No, scaling means that maybe it's enough to employ only twice or 2 times more people in order to get 10 times more revenues, just because your business model allows you to accommodate more sales. So scaling is very important aspect. And I mentioned social innovations are crazy stuff, but here is an example. There is a small food delivery company, but and they sell dinner to your home. But in order to have the dinner, you have to cook it yourself. And you see, uh, we are used to go to restaurants for our dinner, or we buy products, we cook ourselves. But now there is a company that brings to your home ingredients needed to your Asian stew, and noodles or whatever. But it's just, it's just one of the thousands of examples that how we should, change our thinking. Uh, a lot of people complain about inabilities. But imagine there is a social enterprise that became a global player, and it turned weaknesses of people, disabilities of people into an advantage. Specialisternen is a large Danish company with subsidiaries across the world that employs autistic people, because autistic people are very precise and they are good at numbers. And so it sells services to take care of some software, to do some data processing and so on and so on. And it employs only autistic people just because they are good at this. So also you have to always question, whether my decision is right, whether there is no other option that I should try or I could try. As I mentioned, the world is changing every day, and sharing economy allowed huge companies make billions, and those companies didn't really own something specifically. However, we have created so-called marketplaces, online marketplaces and solutions that allowed millions of people make small transactions. Like Uber was the largest and the first taxi company. What it did, Uber created an application that allowed, owners of the cars to sell their time to customers who want a taxi ride. And you can imagine that there are no limits, because there are hundreds of millions of people who own cars, and maybe they qualify to, be a driver, and once a week because he has another job, full-time job or whatever. So Facebook also, it's the most popular place where we go to read stuff. But the stuff is not created by Facebook. It's created by another user like yourself. Alibaba, Airbnb. I like Airbnb because remember Katerina Vasilevska yesterday was talking about genuine experiences. So actually Airbnb uses the same model that everyone, if he or she has an empty apartment, a flat, it can rent it out, and people, instead of going to booking.com or going to a hotel, they rent a place from another person using Airbnb. And Airbnb keeps its commission. Everyone is happy. But this was made possible just because there is such a marketplace created. And the thing about the marketplaces is that they could be, of course, online and offline, and also that it provides you with more options. Sometimes it makes much more sense for you to use existing marketplace, existing sales channel, instead of building your own, because it would be too expensive, and too risky, and you wouldn't know if you would succeed or not. This slide, the previous slide, sometimes is being added or substituted with Estonia, because it's called like Estonia, the smallest country with the largest number of inhabitants. Sounds strange, but look, in 2014, we launched this electronic residence program that allowed foreigners who pay 50 euro to get a foreigner ID and get a chance to register company in Estonia. So can you imagine in 2020, 70 million tax revenues, 70 million euro has been paid by those e-residents who opened companies in Estonia. I can imagine that, 7 years ago, people were laughing at Estonians, thinking that they are crazy. Who is going to, who wants to open a company in another company and why? Yes, in another country and why? But apparently it worked. There are many resources to read about sharing economy, and it's interesting that it goes into each sector. Maybe, of course, it's more popular, I don't know, in the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, but some platforms are global, some are national or local ones only, but it goes across different sectors. Money, parking fees, car sharing, clothing. There is this page that I have is opened in this photo. There is a small company, Vinted, on top, written 33 million. It's a Lithuanian company. What they created, they allowed people to sell unused, not needed second-hand clothing online. And we didn't charge neither the seller nor the buyer. So, of course, thousands of people started to register their stuff, and use the marketplace because it does not cost anything. And the business model of Vinted was based that they sell advertising on the website because they received so many users, like 500,000 users, a day. They're checking, opening their accounts and checking the clothes, so that they got paid by the advertisements, and the company made money using the advertisements. So it's also, the business model is very important to keep in mind every time. What else sharing economy did to us? It minimized the transaction cost, because when you use marketplace, you only buy stuff when you need it, for as much as you need it. And this is a cinema movie star from The Lord of the Rings. And for $50, you can buy his endorsement of your product if you want, or you can buy his, greeting to be sent to, your friend for the birthday, or maybe it could be a message about your business, to potential customers of yours that can help you stand out from the crowd. Cameo does the same, Charlie Sheen, old actor, and you can buy him for like, I don't know, 300 euro if you want to make some presentation or whatever. Coming down to other social innovations, knowledge, information became cheap and readily available. People don't need to go to the university in order to have a Stanford degree, because they can get on the online course that now have, like millions of students globally from different countries, and there are thousands of online courses available. Also, this has changed a lot, but thanks to the internet, thanks to marketplaces, thanks to the spread of IT technologies, sharing examples could be offline as well, practical ones. Like there is a network of tool banks in the United States, and a tool bank is basically a social enterprise that owns shovels, pitchforks, and other equipment necessary for, organizing an event to take care of, I don't know, build a playground or landscape the park, whatever. And so instead of the community organizations, they go to the tool bank and rent the equipment and tools for a very small fee just for the weekend, because that's when they organize the group of neighbors, and volunteers to improve the park in the neighborhood. Now, people, this photo is from Macedonia. And I want to ask you, can anybody say where it is, what is the location? Does anyone know where this photo is coming from? Why is it here? Please, who could tell me? Okay, so there are no one knows. Yes, Mimosa. Yes, please, Mimosa. What do you want? What do you think? Can you unmute yourself, Mimosa?
Twitter Lunch. This was a social initiative that was organized by a group of youths, and they basically cook a single meal for the socially endangered groups. Maybe this is the kitchen where they work, this place where they prepare the meals.
It's very close, very close. It is Pevchevo, and a community in Pevchevo decided to have a community kitchen that can be used by community people to produce food that can be sold, and money can be shared. It's called a food lab in other countries, and it's an investment that is ideal for any social enterprise to consider as well. These are two women. They are from Lithuania. They live outside third largest city near the Baltic Sea. And the social enterprise in this community makes food. But what we realize that, just because we live outside of the large city, they have, more availability of labor, cheaper living costs, cheaper rental costs of, facilities. But all the clients are in this larger city. So we started to sell food on contract, or catering, and started to service companies, started to service kindergartens, schools, and also and it started from the kitchen in the previous project, more or less, This is Khrushchevska Zhena. Imagine if now those women from Khrushchevo, every one of it, they make those jams and marmalades and cookies in their homes using their own, equipment. But instead, all of that can be done in one place. That's sharing economy. What I liked about Airbnb is affiliation and referrals. It means that if the company was very smart and it made every customer made its sales representative. What I mean, if a friend of mine registers on Airbnb and starts using its service, I get a credit. I get 20 euros that I can spend on my accommodation if I want, So this is also sounds like, I don't know, looks pretty simple, but it is really very effective because I was always like asking my friends, are you on Airbnb already? If not, well, here is the link, get registered. I will get 20 euro, So why don't you try to use this approach as well in your business? Because if don't be shy to provide commission to outsiders for the sales, because with every commission, it means that you got a deal, that you got a contract, that you sold something. So don't be afraid of commissions. Tool library, another very simple example, I use, electronic machine to make electronic drill, maybe once every 3 months, because I don't really need it. Why don't I bring it to the tool library in my neighborhood and rent it for a small fee, so that another person who does not have a drill, but he can come to this tool library and pay small money and get this drill and use it and then take it back. Very simple example of sharing economy, because all of us have too much stuff that we do not need, at least at this moment, So why don't employ this stuff so that it starts generating us some money? Coworking, another crazy good example of sharing economy. People used to work either in the office of their company or from homes. And then 15 years ago, an American said, why not? Why not to change this? Let's rent out a whole space and then lease it to individuals per one chair, per one desk. So there is the difference of the fee, that covers the whole rent, and co-working brought many additional benefits, a community, a network. People started to build companies together, but they have met only in the co-working space. Otherwise, they could not have met, well, maybe online somewhere, but so it had many other benefits as well. Now, every country has half a dozen of group, so-called groupers, Groupons, like portals, marketplaces that sell stuff, usually, spa services or some discounts. And I know social enterprises that used those portals to get attention, to launch some of the sales, maybe to put products that, are suitable for this type of the platform and selling channel. And those portals have very high level, of visibility and visitors. So it's and it's also, as I mentioned, with a commission, if you give 50% discount to the stuff that you can't sell anywhere anyway, so it's not a big problem for you to put it here. Okay, so social innovations, also I mentioned upcycling. There are a lot of sustainability things within the social innovations, like a Lithuanian social enterprise providing plastic multi-use plastic cups for the events and coffee shops. And we track, you know, like during one event, rock concert, we saved 72 kilograms of plastic because people pay a small deposit when we buy a drink, a beer in a, you know, in kiosk during the rock concert. And when they return the glass to the coffee shop or beer stand, they get the deposit back, like, for example, I don't know, 30 denars or something like that. But it's, you know, this thing, putting circular economy also to work in your business model is very smart. Offline marketplace, you know, I just put this because of Irina from Arno. She was dreaming about food trucks, and in Vilnius, my city, my hometown, people invited all the food trucks once a week to come and sell food. They put some nice music, they put trash boxes, and for the first months, they did not charge food trucks who were coming, because, you know, never know what will happen. But when people, customers, it became a habit for a person in Vilnius, a young person in Vilnius, to go and buy food from the food trucks in this place every Friday, because there have been a choice of 20 food trucks. You could never find in any single restaurant, you know, such a choice. And then eventually, only after some time, those organizers started to take money from the food trucks in order to cover their expenses and make some money for this organization when it became so popular. Then colleagues from Poland today we're making a presentation about the fort. I wanted to show you also the same project from Vilnius. 7 years ago, Vilnius municipality closed the old military hospital in Vilnius, and it decided to launch a tender for an operator of this hospital, but for another purpose. We launched the tender to find an operator who opens a tech park for startups. And the deal was that municipality still owns the buildings, and it leases them out to the developer for very small monthly fee per square meter, like 20 denars per square meter per month. And the developer gets a contract for 25 years, and it had to invest about, I don't know, maybe 5 million euros to convert the old hospital into the startup center. And everyone is happy because now, you know, new spaces in town, and old buildings, heritage is revitalized. So there are many different options. I know every city in municipality in Macedonia, they have abandoned buildings, maybe publicly, privately owned, but there could be very many different options there. Okay, so I'll just maybe be a bit faster, but yeah, it was also a community center, you know, opened up in an old building. And for 1 year, they couldn't really, they had no money to revitalize the building fully, but they have provided space and invited all the neighbors every week to do barbecues, so that people and customers get used to this. So it was like, I don't know, like an offline marketplace. Sorry, I'm a bit too fast. Okay. And this, why it is an example, it's interesting because it's called Miso Laboratory, City Lab, this community center. We realized that there are many different, you know, interesting people around. And what we did, we opened the doors so that every day there is another event in their space. But what was interesting, and which is a social innovation, that they are not the owners of the event or the organizers of the event, but Like one day there is a poetry evening, next day there are freelancers, programmers meet up, another day there is some workshop by local handicraft person, you know, or artisan, and it was good for them because those people, they're organizing themselves, and we were bringing their own customers who were buying coffee, cakes, and whatever from this community center, who also operates a coffee shop. And then due to COVID, we had to close. So we started to bake bread and sell bread to neighbors just to also keep some revenues on. I tried also to think of examples that can resonate with locals. And as some of you may know, in Batinch, there is a Christian community center social enterprise for ex-convicts and drug addicts, Retonades. And we have wood shop, wood workshop. We make furniture. We also repair furniture, but also we sell old and new furniture. And in Portland, Oregon, there is a similar social enterprise who does exactly that, you know. But you see that what's important that this social enterprise from Portland, they try to encourage people to, let's say, donate old stuff, but in big bulks, like they can invite this company to a house which is going to be demolished. So the social enterprise comes to that building, to that house, and it takes everything that can has some value: the doors, window frames, old bathtubs, you know, door handles, whatever. And then it either improves some things or just sells them. And we also invite volunteers. They also invite donations, and so we try to be very kind of open and flexible. In general, this used furniture thing is very popular among social enterprises to work with. So this circular economy, then a thing can serve several lives, is very good. And surprisingly, a public sector operator in my country also joined the movement. So, you know, public sector waste collectors, they have dumpsters, but also near the dumpsters outside the city, they opened up small shops with stuff that is still has some value to somebody. And you go online, you can see what they have on offer, and you can make a reservation and get this stuff for a small fee, like also some furniture, some baby cribs or whatever. So it's an interesting example of a communal company doing circular economy. Okay, crowdfunding. Well, it's probably you've heard of it so many times now, but it's a pity that in Macedonia crowdfunding does not really like pick up. But there are plenty of platforms that you can probably join in, you know, that are global, and you can still raise some money or borrow some money. Like maybe 10 years ago, I got hooked by a microfunding crowdfunding platform, Kiva. Very interesting model because they sell people stories basically and encourage you to lend $25 for, I don't know, there are maybe 10,000 different beneficiaries. I checked the database before coming to the workshop, and there was only like one person from Kosovo in this database. It was majority coming from other countries. But what was incredible to me, and that I wanted to share with you, that without Kiva, you know, $600 million would not reach their customers. Imagine this crowdfunding micro-lending platform was able to match people, over a million of people lended money to those people in need in developing countries, and you know, that wanted to buy a chicken or a sewing machine or whatever. And it was also, we have this very nice you know, screen for your own profile. that you know how many loans you did, and it's also revolving. You know, you lend $25, after a year we get back, you can lend it again, and you see the progress. It's a nice way to engage people, because engagement, co-creation are also buzzwords of today. When you do your social service, when you want to launch your business activity, you have to think how to engage your customers. Now, sometimes this is the only, advantage at the end of the day that you may have against other competitors, the engagement of your customers, so that maybe they have been engaged in designing the product, the service, or providing some inputs or whatever. Okay, Kickstarter, also crowdfunding platforms. Also, there are funny things that, well, not funny things, but interesting things that marketplaces helped to achieve. Like, for example, UK, database of landowners and gardeners. So there is a person who wants to grow cabbage, and there is a elderly farmer who does not want to grow anything because he does not need. So we put the data on the database, and those two meet. And there is small advantage to both of them and to the marketplace operators. I'll just check with Barbara how much time I have, but maybe it's probably just
yes, 1 minute.
Okay. Housing project for elderly in Vilnius. A social enterprise in Vilnius found 4 elderly people who have become the first customers. It invested into an apartment and operated like 4 small rooms, but with all separate or individual like bathrooms inside this apartment and a shared space. And their business model is that those 4 elderly people moved into this elderly apartment operated by social enterprise, but their apartments are being managed by the social enterprise as well, the old ones, so that they're being rent out, supervised, cleaned, and the revenues from rent cover the cost of elderly people living in this social enterprise housing, plus provide a profit for the social enterprise. So that's a small model, of a sharing economy, how it could work. Okay. Yeah, there was a very famous social enterprise in Latvia, Riga, the first one in the Baltic states. They have been making scarves for by women who work alone, who live alone with small children, without husbands, and so they were producing scarves and they're selling those scarves for €80 in the airport shop. And this is also one thing that you have to remember, because whenever I meet a social entrepreneur or an NGO, we always say, well, I'm afraid to ask for money for my service or my product, or let's make our product the cheapest on the shelf. No, you are crazy. You have to have different mentality. You should ask the most for your product, because you have a moral power and responsibility, not only for yourself, but also for your beneficiaries and vulnerable people. So they were telling the story of those women making scarves and putting them in front of their website so that everyone knows where the money goes. Okay. Also go after your customers. There is a company in Lithuania which is 200 kilometers from Vilnius, but all the customers are in Vilnius because they sell organic food and they sell organic food at a high price. But they cannot sell this organic food in their own village because nobody wants food in a village. But so they bring it to Vilnius inhabitants. Okay, so final slide. I think my message is that you cannot really stop with one kind of solution today. You have to have 20 different options and then test each option before selling. Well, I'm happy now, I shall be doing this for the rest of my life. No, you have to try, go out, talk to customers and see what works, what doesn't. Capitalize on making good, you know, that's important. So anyway, I encourage you to contact anybody from our team, our experts, local experts, regional support centers, myself, if you know you want to discuss your business idea, because you know the more we discuss business ideas, the better they become, and also it's still only 5% of the success. The implementation is the rest of a success. So thanks a lot again, and sorry for long story. See you.
Okay, so there are any questions? Maybe somebody would like to ask the question. Yes, we have now less and less people, so we have to probably, I don't know what to do because only 16 left. You know, dear friends, I know that we need time to discuss how it is in each regional support center. I know that this innovative approaches which were presented by Mindaugus should be turned into practice through support of our project, because I feel that we have huge responsibility to provide to support your government, your Ministry of Labor Social Policy, to provide some systematic solutions. Because now I think we can present a lot of examples, but what is important, sometimes important is to have small approach, but based on the systematic solutions, like initial capital to start social enterprise or to scaling an existing one. So this is important to find some capital to scale the activities. So these grants will be available in September, October, but probably, as I mentioned, it will be 30 grants. But when we have strategy in legislation, that it will be like permanent access to grants, and I don't know whether it will be through fund for innovation or from other fund which will be created by your state. But when we have legislation, we also will have possibility to have access to grants or then to loans as a next step for the development of social enterprise. So what is important? Important is to know that sometimes you will support civic society organization to increase their revenue by 5%, and then we'll be happy. We know that many of them operate on base of the volunteers, so we'll be happy that they hire half part-time person or two half-part time persons to be their workers. So probably, you know, sometimes, you know, it seems like we are far away from examples which were given by Mindaugus, but I think we have to have in mind these examples because it is inspiration for us for which direction we can develop our social enterprises. Maybe it will be also for you challenge to transform company for the social enterprise. Maybe you will have as a client a company which will come to you and ask you, please support me. How can I set up a social enterprise? And then you will discuss with the lawyer, with our lawyer. They have company and they would like to set up a social enterprise. So maybe it will be spin-off process. They will register a small social enterprise and they will continue their work for profit as a company, but additionally, maybe they will establish social enterprise. So they are like, you know, realistic things which you can face, that you probably to your door civic society organization will knock, which earn only 5% generate from economic activity. And our challenge will be how to, you know, as I mentioned, increase their revenue by 5%. So they will able to generate 10%. So small steps. But what is important? Systematic solutions. Then this year and next year, it will be crucial to have systematic solutions. And you know, what is a plan, dear friends? The plan is that you will have 2 additional workshops, 15 and 16 of June. Then 21st, 22nd, 23rd, we'll start journey, we'll visit you. And we'll visit you and we'll discuss with you what we can do together, how we can prepare plan for your activity. So 2 more workshops, 15th and 16th of June, and then study tour with our promotion expert for promotion, with maybe Susanna, with me. Mindaugas will be in Lithuania, so he can join us somehow, but only through Zoom. But I think that it will be the most important that we discuss this concrete context of each center. And also, once again, I would like to ask you to really try to make research. What are the potential partners? Please put the list of them. Existing organization, responsible companies, open local municipalities. Please put it and send to us, and we'll think what are, you know, possible solutions for your region, together with you also having in mind what is a potential. So now, dear friends, I would like to ask to share example of existing social enterprise in Tetovo, Vestarzena. Do we have with us Snežana, or who will present Vestarzena? Who will present Vestarzena? Hello, do we have somebody from Vestarzena? There is no Vestarzena with us? Wow, strange. We agreed that they will present their enterprise. So I
think you see, she wrote 15 minutes ago, or 1 hour ago, that she was able to talk at 15:30, because she has drug Sostanok. So I think there will be no presentation from Vestarzena today, but maybe then some people would like to ask some questions in that case.
Some questions or your reflection, or how we can, you know, organize ourselves, like for this study tour, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, we would like to have 2-3 places each day, and we'll travel from region to region. So probably, I don't know how you, yes, would you like to share? Would you like to ask us something? Gordana, please. Super, thank you. Thank you. Nezana.
I don't know whether you remember Gordana, but in the city of Kruševo, there was such an initiative. So the women used to sell online, however, it lasted while it lasted, and young people did not inherit the craft work. So these women are no longer capable of knitting, they are older, so they could not provide for the quality. And there was nobody to do the same, to continue the business. There is one woman in Ohrid, Maya Kuzman, who is selling pieces online. She's best known in Macedonia, actually. Her business model is not just selling the final made pieces, but she also sells the patterns. So the major portion of her money basically comes from the sales of patterns. So this is the social innovation. It all depends how you are going to structure your business. Yes, you will make the model, but if people are doing it by hand, no product will come out the same. I believe that there are different possibilities. What I'm always saying is that, like Barbara says, make the list. Yes, to identify the terrain or map the terrain, like you would say. In Bitola, there is this social program within the Red Cross organization. Like in Skopje, they bought a machine for packaging of sugar, and they hired a couple of Roma individuals. They are packaging the sugar there. But as I say, it all depends on the person. The manager, the Red Cross manager, and the people there, they make sure that the sugar is being sold. So the employees are just making it and then deliver the product. However, the marketing and the sales is done by the Red Cross in Bitola. So there are, as you can see, various examples. But the regional centers, including Skopje, have to detect all these individuals' examples, do the diagnostics, do the forecast, the projections, and then tell them how far and where they can move to in order to benefit from their capabilities. Also, there might be cooperation with a foreign country, somebody abroad, or maybe a type of model to be copied and pasted here. Maybe not exactly, but at least you can benefit from the branding. Another important thing, people have to continuously do the testing. The problem with entrepreneurs is when they come up with a service or a product, they're blind. They're ecstatic and satisfied with the service or the product, and they start immediately just making. However, you have to make sure there is marketing, there is sales, there is control, quality, etc. But this is not strong enough amongst them. And that is why people will not perceive them as a good quality, solid business. Krombert and Schubert in Bitola are an example like this. The company that is basically providing the catering, food for the company, they hire people with disabilities. They do that because they get certain benefits from the active measures by the government. Everything that remains from Krombert and Schubert food, if it is delivered further to other families, poor families, or maybe sold at a much lower price, then you have this social component. For instance, in Bitola, there is lots of green market produce, they sell it, but there's lots of stuff that remains at the end of the day. They leave it there or they just throw it. So the idea is for the public enterprise controlling the green market to leave some space aside where people can just pick up some leftover, some food, or maybe just a small public kitchen where they can produce some food for the poor people around. So now we are part of the push and pull strategy. So we are supposed to both push and pull, like Barbara said, and Mindauer. We have to see what is the initial capital and how is it possible to scale up the people who are who are already busy. And let me also mention the mosques and churches. How can I say? They are a sort of informal social business. Some of them have these soup kitchens and some other activities or programs where they help out poor people, or maybe they can benefit from their work and then pay them. For instance, if they build some kind of facility or a new building of some sort, they can hire the people who are basically going there for regular church mass. Also, there are certain centers, rehab centers, that are being operated by some of these institutions. This is a recommendation or suggestion to Mindaugas and Barbara. I would like to take you both to the monastery in Slepce. It's a village. There is 20 nuns over there. They have a full system of circular economy. They have their own farm animals, they produce food, and they informally sell it. If you go to the monastery, you can buy some sausages, meat, and honey. However, they are not registered as a social enterprise. They function through the donations of their true believers, the people who go there. I'm quite convinced that you can find similar examples with the other religions. However, if we succeed somehow...
Now we have to give space. Maybe more people would like to share their reflection, their comments, their doubts. Yes, please share, dear friends. No one? Mimosa, would you like to share what is potential in your region?
Yes, I would like to share something. Actually, my experience from today, by accidents or not, we as an agency for support of SMEs, we manage the process of mentorship. And I don't know how, but the selection this year was to communicate with the Hotel Dalyan without being aware that Hotel Dalyan is actually a social enterprise that exists since 1975. And today we had the opportunity to join them during this initial meeting. We heard the entire story from the current lady manager, and she is copying basically European examples. She's pasting them in Hotel Dalyan. This is a protective company, as we call them, that hires up to 40%. Few years back, 50% of the employees were individuals with disabilities. Most of them deaf or near deaf. And these individuals have been fully educated, trained, and then included in this hospitality business, providing services of overnight with breakfast and full board accommodation. We believe that this company will be, I would call it a bright example, a very interesting story about our region. So new ideas come up with this training as it goes along, and now we recognize additional partners, people who can give their own contribution, like Barbara mentioned a few days ago. We are people, humane people. This is something dear to us, and there are certain projects implemented by the Red Cross, especially during the pandemics. Also individuals who are quite happy to provide support to socially endangered families. Like Susanna said, churches are also an option. The monastery Bigorsky is most famous because they provide rehabilitation for people with dependencies.
And
Also,
yes, I visited,
as of recently,
beautiful example, I visited Bigorsky Monastery.
yes, that is correct. And the Miak house also has a social element here. Anything that is being sold through the Miak's house goes for the support of the socially vulnerable categories or families from the region. So we have been providing a positive impulse as a result of this project. And of course, you will hear and see much more in the field whenever you decide to visit us. This is all. Thank you.
Super. Thank you, Mimosa. Thank you for very, words which really empowered us. Thank you. So it was mutual enrichment. Super. Thank you. Who else would like to share some opinion? Maybe Diana Popanov or Nebi. Today is totally quiet. Or Milena Dimkowska or Gocze Petrovski. Snehana, who would like to share? Yes, please, we have still a few minutes left. Dear friends from other centers, we would like to hear your voice. No one? Wow, it's pity. Okay. So, 15th and 16th of June, we will start at 1 o'clock, as we were asked by Snehana, if I remember, to start a little bit earlier. So 15th of June, I don't know whether we send them the agenda or not yet, Minda, not yet. So we'll send you agenda for 15th and 16th, and then we are planning to visit you, and finally we can touch you, we can talk, we can feel your energy, because now I have a feeling that we are talking, and we would like to see your eyes and to see your feedback, to hear your feedback, and to be in touch and to understand each other. So, dear friends, if no one wants to share their reflection, maybe we should finish. Yes, we should finish. Okay, so thank you so much for today's presentations. It's pity that Vesta Žena couldn't present. It is, civic society organization which received $80,000 support from GEF, Global Environmental Fund, and they are planning to buy a machine which will produce some plastic elements with cooperation with private company. So Tetovo, Nebi, it is also maybe something what could be interesting for you, dear Nebi, from Tetovo. But maybe next time we'll have, next time on 15th of June, we'll have Zlatko from GEF, main general director of GEF from Skopje, Zlatko. Samardiev, something like this is his name, and he will present these examples of social enterprises and their cooperation with private companies. So I think it will be also very important for us to know that GEF has real money to support our social enterprises. Thank you so much. And it is pity that you were today very quiet. Bye-bye.